Thor, Love and Thunder is a 2022 American superhero film based on Marvel Comics featuring the character Thor, produced by Marvel Studios and distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. It is the sequel to Thor, Ragnarok and the 29th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The film is directed by Taika Waititi, who co-wrote the script with Jennifer Kayden Robinson, and stars Chris Hemsworth as Thor alongside Christian Bale, Tessa Thompson, Jamie Alexander, Waititi, Russell Crowe, and Natalie Portman. In the film, Thor attempts to find inner peace, but must return to action and recruit Valkyrie, Korg, and Jane Foster, who is now the mighty Thor, to stop Gore the God Butcher from eliminating all gods. Hemsworth and Waititi had discussed plans for a sequel to Ragnarok by January 2018. Love and Thunder was announced in July 2019, with Hemsworth, Waititi, and Thompson all set to return, as well as Portman, who did not appear in Ragnarok. Waititi wanted to differentiate Love and Thunder from Ragnarok, seeking to make a romance film in 1980s-inspired adventure. He adapted elements from Jason Aaron's run on the Mighty Thor comic book, which sees Foster take on the mantle and powers of Thor whilst under treatment for cancer. Robinson joined to contribute to the script in February 2020, and further casting was revealed later that year, including the appearance of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Production was expected to begin in late 2020 but was delayed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Filming ultimately began in January 2021 in Sydney, Australia, and concluded at the beginning of June. The film's production budget of $250 million made it one of the most expensive films ever made. Thor, Love and Thunder premiered at the El Capitan Theatre in Hollywood on June 23, 2022, and was released in the United States on July 8, as part of Phase 4 of the MCU. The film received a mixed critical response, with praise for its light-hearted nature, visuals, and the performances of Bale and Portman, while criticism was aimed at the screenplay and tonal inconsistency. Many critics deemed the film inferior to Ragnarok. Love and Thunder has grossed over $760 million worldwide, making it the sixth highest-grossing film of 2022. Early life. Taika David Cohen was born on August 16, 1975 in Rockaway in the Bay of Plenty region of New Zealand's North Island, and grew up on both the East Coast and in the Arrow Valley of Wellington. His father was an artist of Te Holnae with Macron-Apanui descent, whilst his mother, Robin Cohen, was a schoolteacher. Waititi stated that his mother's family were Russian Jews mixed with a bit of Irish and other European ancestry, while his father's side was Maori and a little bit of French-Canadian. Waititi describes himself as a Polynesian Jew. He was raised more connected to his Maori roots, in a household where Judaism was not actively practiced. Waititi's parents split up when he was around 5, and he was raised primarily by his mother. He attended Onslow College, then studied theatre at Victoria University of Wellington, where he graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in 1997. He originally used his mother's surname, Cohen, for his work in film and writing, and his father's, Waititi, for visual arts endeavours. Following the success of his first short film, he continued to use Waititi professionally. Career. Early career. While a student at Victoria University of Wellington, Waititi was part of the 5-member comedy ensemble So You're a Man, which toured New Zealand and Australia with some success. He was half of the comedy duo The Humour Beasts alongside Jermaine Clement, which received New Zealand's highest comedy accolade, the Billy T Award, in 1999. Among a variety of artistic interests, Waititi began making comical short films for New Zealand's annual 48-hour film contest. His short film Two Cars, One Night earned him an Academy Award nomination in 2005. At the awards ceremony, he famously feigned falling asleep as the nominations were being read. His first feature film, a romantic comedy called Eagle vs. Shark, was released in U.S. theaters for limited distribution in 2007. Waititi co-wrote the film with Lauren Horsley. That year, Waititi wrote and directed one episode of the TV show Flight of the Conchords and directed another. In 2010, he acted in the New Zealand TV3 improv sketch comedy show Raideraidera, together with frequent collaborators Rhys Darby and Jermaine Clement. His second feature, Boy, premiered at the Sundance Film Festival in January 2010, and was nominated for the Grand Jury Prize. Waititi also took one of the main roles, as the ex-con father who returns to his family. On its release in New Zealand, Boy received enthusiastic reviews and was successful at the local box office, eclipsing several records. Following the film's success, Waititi hoped its signature track, Poi, would get to number 1 on the New Zealand charts. It reached number 3, but became number 1 on iTunes. In 2011, Waititi directed New Zealand TV series Super City starring Madeline Sammy, who plays 5 characters living in one city. That year, Waititi portrayed Thomas Kalmaku in the superhero film Green Lantern. 2013-2019, recognition. In 2013, Waititi co-wrote, co-directed and acted in the vampire comedy mockumentary What We Do in the Shadows with Clement. It premiered at the Sundance Film Festival in January 2014. Waititi and Clement played members of a group of vampires who live in an appropriately gothic house in modern-day Wellington. A television adaptation of the film was commissioned in May 2018, with Waititi as an executive producer and director. The series of the same name premiered on FX in March 2019. Its second season received a Primetime Emmy Award nomination for Outstanding Comedy Series. Waititi's fourth feature, Hunt for the Wilder People, premiered at the 2016 Sundance Film Festival. When it was released in New Zealand, the comedy adventure broke Waititi's own record for a New Zealand film in its opening weekend. Based on a book by Barry Crump, it centers on a young boy and a grumpy man on the run in the forest. Waititi wrote the initial screenplay for the 2016 Disney film Moana, which focused on gender and family. Those elements were passed over in favor of what became the final story. In 2017, Waititi won the award for New Zealander of the Year, but was unable to receive it in person due to work commitments. That year, he directed his first major studio film, Marvel Studios' Thor, Ragnarok, which was released in October. He also portrayed Korg, a Cronin, via motion capture in the film. He had previously directed a short film series for Marvel called Team Thor, chronicling the lives of Thor and his roommate, Daryl Jacobson. Thor, Ragnarok earned critical praise and was successful at the box office. Waititi was later consulted by Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely on Thor's storylines for Avengers: Infinity War, to maintain the character's consistency in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In 2019, Waititi wrote and directed Jojo Rabbit, based on the book Caging Skies by Christine Lee Eunans, the 1940s set story of a child in the Hitler Youth whose mother is secretly hiding a Jewish girl in their home. Waititi plays a buffoonish version of Adolf Hitler as the boy's imaginary friend. Waititi received Academy Award nominations for Best Picture and Best Adapted Screenplay. He won the latter, making him the first person of Mora descent to win an Academy Award in a screenplay category, and the first Indigenous person to be nominated for and win Best Adapted Screenplay. In 2021 he won the Grammy Award for Best Compilation Soundtrack for Visual Media as a producer of the Jojo Rabbit soundtrack. In October 2018, Lucasfilm announced that Waititi would be one of the directors of the Star Wars live-action streaming series The Mandalorian, which tells the story of a lone Mandalorian gunfighter in the period between the events of Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. The series premiered on November 12, 2019. Waititi also voices a droid bounty hunter named IG-11 in the series. He directed the series' first season finale, Chapter 8, Redemption. His voiceover work earned him a Primetime Emmy Award nomination for Outstanding Character Voiceover Performance in 2020. 2020 present, recent career. In 2020, Waititi narrated a charity reading of James and the Giant Peach by Roald Dahl. He portrayed Ratcatcher in the DC superhero film The Suicide Squad, released in August 2021 to positive reviews. Also in August, Waititi portrayed Antoine Hovakelic, the antagonist of the action-comedy film Free Guy. With Sterling Harjo, Waititi co-created the comedy series Reservation Dogs, which chronicles the lives of a group of indigenous Oklahoma teens, and comprises a main cast, directors, producers, and writers of indigenous peoples. It premiered on FX and received positive reviews. Waititi executive produced, directed, and starred as Blackbeard in the HBO Max comedy series Our Flag Means Death. The first season was released in March 2022. That same year, Time magazine placed him on its annual list of the 100 most influential people in the world. Waititi performed as a voice actor in the 2022 animated film Lightyear as M.O. Morrison. He wrote and directed the superhero film Thor, Love and Thunder, a sequel to Thor, Ragnarok. It released in July 2022. Waititi also directed a feature film adaptation of the documentary Next Goal Wins prior to directing Thor, Love and Thunder. The film, which had been delayed, is set to be released in late 2022 after Armie Hammer's scenes were reshot with Will Arnett taking over the role. He is set to direct a live-action film adaptation of Akira. He is slated to co-write a sequel to What We Do in the Shadows, titled We're Wolves, and direct and co-write a live-action Star Wars film. Waititi is attached to write, direct and executive produce 2 animated series for Netflix based on Roald Dahl's children's novel Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and its sequel, one adapting the novels and the other focused on the novel's Oompa Loompa characters. He is set to executive produce and direct the Showtime limited series The Auteur. He is slated to write and direct a film based on Flash Gordon for 20th Century Studios. In November 2021, it was announced that Waititi would adapt The Uncle into a feature film. Personal life. Waititi was in a relationship with New Zealand actress and writer Lauren Horsley for 10 years. She co-wrote and acted in his directorial debut, Eagle vs Shark. Waititi married New Zealand film producer Chelsea Winstanley in 2011. They have 2 daughters. He and Winstanley separated in 2018. Since 2021, Waititi has been in a relationship with British singer Rita Ora. Waititi incorporates his Maori and Indigenous heritage into his projects, such as by including Indigenous attachments and conducting a welcome to country ceremony during the start of filming on set in Australia. He is an executive producer of the New Zealand films The Breaker Upperers, Baby Done, and Night Raiders, all directed by Maori or Indigenous filmmakers. Waititi's cousin Tweety Waititi, whom he considers a sibling, began producing and directing Maori language versions of Disney animated films due to Waititi, which she does alongside his former partner Winstanley. Filmography. Short films. Feature film. Television. Acting. Film acting, television acting. Other works. Music videos. Commercials. Waititi has also been a prolific commercial director. He directed Air New Zealand's The Most Epic Safety Video Ever Made featuring Peter Jackson and Elijah Wood as they go through where the Lord of the Rings films were shot. The commercial went viral, amassing over 19 million views on YouTube. Waititi directed Tesco's Borg, which features a comical Thor-esque character shopping in the supermarket. He went on to direct Marvel Studios' Thor, Ragnarok years later. Frequent collaborators.